it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to Subtle Sunday. So, projects using only the Subtles collection. And today we are looking at Daisy Delight. And this is the card that I am going to make, a slightly different version, only very slightly different actually. So I found this on Pinterest and it was a card made by a lady called Eva, I'm going to get this wrong, Prather, who is in California, I believe. Anyway, so I've taken the inspiration from her card, so by all means go and have a look for her on Pinterest. So all I'm changing up this time is going to be my brain, the cardstock in the background. So instead of the Pear Pizzazz, I'm going to use So Saffron. Instead of the Marina Mist, I'm going to use Calypso Coral. I'm going to stick with the So Saffron, and I'm going to stick with the, this is Shimmer White cardstock. And the reason I'm using that is because although you probably can't see it on camera, in the background there is a wash. So let's get started. I'm going to bring in my trusty cheese board because once I've done the wash, I'm going to want to blitz it with, yes, just need to, right, so this is Pool Party. I'm just going to put some ink in the lid. I've just opened the click, press the ink pad, and then I get a nice pool of Pool Party. Aqua Painter. And just, I'm probably going to make it a little bit darker this time, because then you can see what I'm doing. It did come out a little light last time, so I'm going to add a bit more ink this time round so that it looks obviously there, as opposed to just a bit like a dirty splodge. Piece of kitchen paper, which is actually a Christmas pattern. Oh dear. And it's last year's. I know I've been plugging Christmas already, but it's last year's. So I'm just going to pop this onto my trusty cheese board and grab my heat gun. If you've ever wondered what the two settings are on your heat gun, one is for drying and two is for embossing. I may actually use two for drying just for speed, although actually no, it seems to be drying okay. We just need this to be completely dry before we start stamping on it. And while I'm doing this, because I can just about do two things at once, only just, you will see that I have not got stamping going over some of these daisy heads, and that is because I'm going to mask them off. Just going to turn this over to help straighten it out a bit more, because if you heat from both sides it's more likely to flatten. Not guaranteed, it's still not perfectly flat, but it's good enough for jazz, as they say. So pop those out of the way. Now, measurements. This is 3 1/4 by 5 inches. The other bits are my usual A6 card base, so A4, cut in half, scored down the middle to make an A5, sorry, cut in half to make A5, scored down the middle to make A6. This is metric. My So Saffron for both of them is 5 1/2 by 3 3/4, so this is 1/2 inch smaller. Ooh, and I've got a funny little mark. I'm just going to grab, I am just going to grab famous last words, a blender pen, and blend that out. Blender pen. Make sure that's clean, yes. Blend that out. That's all right. I don't know where that got picked up from, but there we go. Probably off my bulldog clip. Right, so yes, so this is 1/2 inch smaller on all sides than the So Saffron. So 5 5/8 by 3 7/8 for the Marina Mist or the Calypso Coral. So Saffron 5.5 by 3 3/4, 5 by 3.5, 3 1/4. Metric will be on my blog post, which is linked below. So let's get going. So the first thing I am going to do is try and straighten this out a wee bit more. That's better. Is stamp my flower heads. So one little baby flower head and Calypso Coral again. So just to ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp those in a sort of arbitrary, I really don't particularly mind where they are, pattern. Just clean that off. And that's all I need the Calypso Coral for. So that's almost clean. So pop that away while I remember. And I have already cut out 3 little masks, which I will, whoops, pop on the right way up over my flowers. These are on Post-it note. And I have already used them, as you can see. So let's take that off and grab. This is what I'm thinking of as the daisy stalk, and I'm going to stamp that in Wild Wasabi, a colour I don't use enough. Don't know why I don't use it, but I don't. I found that this is sometimes easier to do sideways on, so because I have, whoops, squished my stamp, because I've covered up my flowers further down, I can pretty much just stamp this where I want. And I'm going to end up with a bit of a mess down here, but that's part of the reason why we've got this piece here and the bow. So that's all good. And this will be I will change my grid paper after this project version of shooting a video. It's already got some muck on it, so that's fine. I think what I actually need is a bit more mist on my stamping scrub. My trusty stamping scrub, which I keep off to one side. So that's that. Then I'm going to bring in the stalk for the little flowers, and that I'm going to do in Pear Pizzazz. I think I might not do quite as many of everything this time. I think I possibly did too many last time. Maybe I'll just spread them out a bit more. And while I've got my Pear Pizzazz out, I will grab my wafty stalks. And I think of these as lilac, not lilac, lavender, the other L. And these are quite good just for adding a bit of fluff. So that's that. Get rid of the Pear Pizzazz. Now I'm going to do while I'm on for lavender, the lavender first. This is Wisteria Wonder. Now my stamp is incredibly stained, courtesy of Berry Burst. There is a theory that if you over ink your stamps, if you stamp in a lighter colour on photopolymer first, it's less likely to stain. I've not tried it. I think I'm wishing that I had, but it's still not impossible. All I would say is using a bigger block makes lining up easier, and I think I've said this before, line up the top of your stalks with the top of your flowers, because lavender grows out of the sort of off the side of the stem. So if you try and line up the bottom of your flower head with the top of your stalks, it won't. It just won't. In so many ways, it won't. So clean that off and grab the flowers to go. I had the flowers to go up the. I know I did. Okay, somewhere on my what I laughingly call desk, I've lost a stamp. Okay, that's a shame because I have no idea where they are. The ones I'm missing are these ones here, and they were on that block, and now they're not because I took them off and I must have put them somewhere terribly safe. So maybe if I tidy up a bit I'll find them. You never know, strange things have happened. Otherwise I'll get on and do something else. Oh, there they are. See, you'd have seen them sitting on my mat. Okay, should we try that again? Marina Mist, because I'm calling these cornflowers. Now, again, I think I've done this before. There is an upside and a downside. So the two little ones close together is the top, and you just want to line up a top and a bottom. Much easier when you haven't got you lot in the way, I would hasten to add. But I'll work round it. It's fine. I can cope. Oh, I don't think I inked up the top of that. No, I didn't. There we are. Right, so that's all of the flowers stamped, and while I think about it, I've got a scrap of shimmery white, and I'm using a scrap of shimmery white rather than white or cream, because shimmery white is actually not white or cream, so putting white or cream next to it would just look odd, so I'm not. So, as I have Marina Mist open, and for no other reason, I'm going to ink up my Your Thoughtfulness Brightened My Day, and just stamp that. And by some miracle, it's straight. Can't think how I managed that. So we'll close that up, and we're nearly done. Right, so I'm just going to trim that down there, and then, scary, I say it straight-ish, I'm actually going to do something a bit odd for a change. I am going to cut this deliberately at an angle, because, do you know, I didn't do this on the original, but if you do something deliberately at an angle, maybe not that extreme an angle, it will not look quite as odd as if something is terribly crooked. I don't know whether that's real or not, but let's give it a go, shall we? And then just flag my end. Yeah, that'll be all right. Right, okay, so let's do the reveal. So let's take these off, and there we are. Our daisies are lovely. Right, some linen thread, and it looks like I need a new one of these very soon. And I'm just going to kind of straighten it out a wee bit with my bone folder, just take the worst of the kinks out. Then a bit of fast fuse on the back to help keep body and soul together. And then I'm just going to wrap this around the worst of the mess and try and keep the pointy bits, the cross. Oh, good grief, if I had a brain. So yes, I want to try and keep the cross kind of over this side, and the way to do that is to spread out this side, which actually, or tighten up this side might be better, because I've just realised I've narrowed my end, so I don't want this too narrow. Then I need to straighten out a bit more, and then I'm going to take 3 lengths and it's probably far too much, but hey, there we go. 3 lengths, and then tie a bow. Now, quick bow, particularly for the front of a card, 2 loops, and this is particularly helpful when you're dealing with lots of layers of twine or thread, because it means you don't have to remember which is a loop and which is a loop, if you kind of see what I mean, or even if you don't actually. Don't want that to be quite so big, but then we've got a nice thick bow that will go with the fact that we've got 3 bits of linen thread round our card. So I'll put that to one side, get rid of these little bits, and let's mount this all up. Now, you know, generally speaking, I would say I'm going to grab my favourite liquid glue, but because this is slightly warped, I'm actually going to attack it with quite a lot of fast fuse, because that will help flatten it down. There we go. So because I know that this is the same dimensions, as in I've cut it short on all sides by the same amount, I should be able to line it up reasonably in the middle. I'll just give that a good press from the other side. Right, now, let's see, let's bring in my card base and fold that and get rid of those bits, and burnish, and my Calypso Coral, and my favourite liquid adhesive. And now that we've got it flat, courtesy of the fast fuse, we don't need to get so worried that it's not going to be flat. And then again, and pop that on the front of our card with that little bit of wiggle room that liquid adhesive gives us. And then I want that, might actually take that over to there this time. So I'm going to put fast fuse on the extreme end, and then grab a bit of dimensional. Don't need much, just a little bit. If I could get it off the base, that would be useful. Thank you. Take that up. And pop that down there. Then mini glue dot, which I'm just going to make into a bit of a splodge with my pokey tool, piercing tool, and pop that, actually if I pop it that way it will help stick that down. Pop my bow on at a slightly jaunty angle and trim the ends so that they're not dangling too far down, and then just grab, stick that down properly, grab a Calypso Coral enamel shape, and there we go. Subtle Sunday. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, guess what? Please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more madness, please hit the subscribe button, which is kind of down there somewhere-ish in the rough area of the bottom right-hand corner. For any products you need, please jump over to my online store. That would be lovely. There are links to that below. There's also a list of the products I've used and a link to the associated blog post, which will have the dimensions and some close-up photos and all that good stuff. And I think that's it. It is! Hurrah! So I will see you again very soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.